Hello, my name is Sonali and I welcome you back to a new episode of Around the World in 7 Days. Of late, eyes of all the media houses covering international affairs was on the city of Johannesburg in South Africa. This is because the 15th summit of the BRICS group was being held in this most prosperous and glittering city of South Africa. Apart from Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Chinese President Xi Jinping, Brazilian President Lula da Silva, and Sergei Lavrov as the representative of Russia were involved. They were hosted by the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa. During this time, the discussion of expansion of the group was in full swing because from Algeria to Argentina, about 40 countries have shown interest to join it. That's why speculations were being made by all the experts that this time this group will expand and increase the number of member countries. And exactly the same happened. Actually, the existing members of the group have approved the inclusion of 6 new members in the group. Saudi Arabia, Iran, United Arab Emirates, Argentina, Ethiopia, and Egypt will now be the members of the BRICS. In this, the interesting thing is that earlier India did not openly support the expansion of BRICS. India and Brazil were not ready to increase the number of member countries in BRICS. But now the matter of getting new members admitted is being seen as China's increasing influence on BRICS. Actually, China had been insisting on the expansion of BRICS for a long time. It wants to present it as Ant-West group. Therefore, experts believe that BRICS can present an alternative to the world. According to them, BRICS is shaping a new global order challenging the current order led by the US. But the question is how? And why experts feel that BRICS is shaping the new world order? In today's episode, we will find answers to these questions. In fact, in terms of GDP based on purchasing power parity, the BRICS countries have reportedly overtaken the G7. With about 40% of the world's population, the BRICS countries account for about 1/3 of the global GDP. The BRICS countries together account for more than 25% of global oil production as well as 50% of the iron ore used to make steel. They also produce about 40% of global maize and about 46% of global wheat. This unifying strength has resulted in an increase in the presence and influence of the BRICS countries. This is the reason why the global economy is also now seen leaning towards the BRICS countries. Therefore, some analysts believe that the strategic alliance of BRICS can end the economic dominance of Western countries. It is worth noting that this group was started by Brazil, Russia, India, and China. Therefore, at that time, it was called BRIC. It was formed to attract the attention of foreign investors toward the economic potential of these countries. Therefore, then the experts believed that this new group would remain in a limited range. But later in the year December 2010, South Africa also joined it, and since then it came to be known as BRICS. After this, looking at China's ambitions, some analysts felt that the BRICS group would soon take a conflicting stand towards the established world order. The interesting thing is that this group also appears to be living up to their predictions. Actually, in the year 2014, the BRICS countries launched the New Development Bank as an alternative to the World Bank and the IMF. It also opened its door for the new members. The bank was established with a capital of $50 billion, of which 20% was contributed by the BRICS group countries. Further, in the year 2021, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, Uruguay, and Bangladesh took stake in New Development Bank. However, the value of these shares was much less than the investment made by the founding members of the bank. Still, it meant a lot. This made BRICS a platform for cooperation. This is the reason why many countries are now showing interest to join it. Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi also approved an agreement to join the New Development Bank. Through this move, Egypt wanted to reduce the domestic demand for the US dollar. In fact, the establishment of the New Development Bank is a fundamental change. In the midst of the current global economic crisis, all countries are trying to strengthen their currencies. In such a situation, the BRICS group can support them in fulfilling that goal. It is an option that can help these countries overcome rising prices, inflation, and dollar shortages. The logic behind saying this is that BRICS is considering launching a new global reserve currency, which could prove to be a direct threat to the dominance of the US dollar. If the BRICS currency becomes acceptable in international trade, it may reduce the supremacy of the US dollar. Indeed, from the perspective of the global monetary system, such a move could mark a significant development towards de-dollarization. In de-dollarization, countries try to trade in currencies other than the US dollar. With this, they try to diversify their foreign exchange reserves. If the goods and services of the BRICS countries are traded in the new reserve currency, it would be like the emergence of a new world order, overturning the old world economy. Imagine one day Saudi Arabia announces that it will now accept currencies other than dollars for oil. This will be like a bomb blast for all those countries who have had to keep dollars in reserve for the last several decades. After that, if they all start dumping dollars, it will be a tsunami of inflation hitting the shores of the West. In addition, the ongoing war in Ukraine has strengthened the political position of the BRICS grouping. Since the start of the war, BRICS members have distanced themselves from Western perspectives on the conflict. None of India, Brazil, South Africa, and China have chosen to impose sanctions on Russia. It highlights a clear divide between the West and Russia on the Ukraine issue. Overall, it can be said that BRICS has emerged as a powerful financial and political voice in the emerging multipolar world. Through this, China and Russia definitely want to break the dominance of the G7 countries and the American world order. This cannot be ignored. This is the reason why it is now seen as a counterweight to Western hegemony, both economically and politically. Well, it will be interesting to see how BRICS will establish the new world order. However, as of now, the pace of expansion of the BRICS group is increasing in the backdrop of the ongoing war in Ukraine and growing competition between China and the US. So that's all in today's episode. See you in the next episode. But before that, let's note down a question based on today's story. The BRICS group is shaping the new world order. Examine.